Cheers. That's a good beer. Hey, what's going on, guys? I really hope you all had a really good Thanksgiving. I know I sure did. We had some family in town. We had some really good food, and we had a really good time. But now that that's all over, it's time to get back into normal life. What does that mean? Well, it means making YouTube videos for you guys. So, in the last video, I talked about adding detail to your foam project using a Dremel. Today, I'm going to be talking about adding details to your project using a soldering iron or a wood burner. Both really good tools. Depending on what you have, you could get some great effects from either one. But I'm going to get into that after I get into the beer, because that's also important. So today's beer is from Big Grove Brewery. This is in Iowa. This is Big Ed. It's a hazy IPA. It's a really good beer. So if you're in the area or surrounding area, I highly suggest you go to the store and pick some of that up. You won't be disappointed. All right, so adding detail to your project using a wood burner or a soldering iron. Which one do I prefer? Well, I prefer the wood burner for a couple reasons. For one, it gets hot faster. I don't like to waste a lot of time sitting around waiting for something to heat up or cool down. So it's kind of nice to be able to plug that thing in and it's getting pretty hot. I also like it because you have a wider selection of bits to use to get different types of details. The soldering iron just doesn't have that. It's very limited with what it has because it's the purpose of a soldering iron is to solder wires together. So there's really no reason to get any kind of added details. But a wood burner is made to get little details in wood, obviously. So you get a little bit of a better selection with that one. So my soldering iron, I actually started off with this one. It's not bad. If I had this and this was the only thing I had, I'd use it. I wouldn't complain about it. Like I said, it's limited with these tips that you can use. The nice thing about this one, though, is it does have little LED lights in it, so it lights up the project, which is a nice feature that the wood burner doesn't have. But if this is what you have, you won't be disappointed because it's going to get you some really good details. So after using the soldering iron for a while, I decided to move on to a wood burner. I really don't know why I did that, but it was a really good choice, and I'm really happy with it. It's got all kinds of tips that you could just go ahead and screw out with your finger. Don't do that when it's hot because you're going to instantly regret that, and you're going to be in a lot of pain. So don't do that when it's hot. But you can take these little tips out and change them out to get different types of effects on that foam. Now, when I'm talking about these bits that go to it, these are all the different types of bits that you can get. You just screw them out and screw them back in there, and then let it heat up, and then just figure out what's going to work for you. And again, this is always kind of the fun part where you can kind of see what works and what doesn't, and what those effects are that you're looking for. I'm going to show you a couple different ways that I use those, and some different effects that I get. But I'm sure there's a lot of ways out there that you could probably figure out to use for your projects as well. But we'll get into that here in a minute. So before we get into anything as far as like actually using this wood burner, let's talk about safety again because I'm a big safety guy. This is basically burning this foam. Do we know what's in this foam? Yeah, probably not. So it's probably not that good to inhale it because it does put off a lot of smoke. It kind of smells like a candle actually when you're burning this stuff. But even though it might smell a little bit good, I wouldn't take the chance and inhale it. So either use it in a well-ventilated area or get yourself one of these respirators. This is more of the actual like vapor or organic type. Yeah, vapor organic type respirator. And this is going to basically filter out. So you won't be able to smell anything when you're using this thing. Well, I think that's pretty much a good start. Let's go ahead and bring this camera in and I'll show you what I do with this stuff. All right, I got this piece all ready to go here. A couple different details using a couple different bits from the wood burning kit. So I'm just going to go ahead and cover those right now. This first section here, I use this skinnier one. These ones on the side here, I just held it flush. Got each one of those. That's really only going to work on a side piece. You can do it in the center, but it's just going to change the angle that this goes in because you're not going to be able to hold it flush like that one. You can also use this thing here to basically draw like you were drawing with a pen or a pencil. Like that. You can use it for battle damage. You just find your center spot on the battle damage, stick that in, and then drag out, and you get that. You can also just get some random details, like you want some you want to play connect the dots on your project, you could get that. The next piece is this little round piece here. You can see it's got some sort of like a pattern on the inside, and that's these three different types here. I have 3 of them. I'm only going to show you this one, but basically the way you do that, you just hold this thing flat, push it right on there, and then you'll get these little pieces here. You can see it's got little patterns inside of them, which is kind of cool. There's one down here on the side. I call this thing like a flower piece because I feel like if you use this a certain way, you can make a flower out of that. But let's say you got boots or something, you want some tread on the side of the boots. That's pretty good. You just hold it on the side like that. Get some cool tread pattern. I did that on the bottom of my son's Optimus Prime. It came out pretty good. You get some slash marks, just boom, like that. Let's say you got a project that you're working on that has some scaling. This actually is a great bit for getting that. You just basically hold it flat on there and make your scales. That's actually really cool. I don't do a lot of scale work because I'm doing Transformers and they're not usually scaly. But if I did, that'd probably be the one I use. It looks really cool. I like it. So I actually have my wood burner on over here. It's all heated up, ready to go. I'm going to show you a couple pieces or a couple things to do over here. This is all the bit that I have on there right now. This is another type of scale right here, just using the side of that. You can see how it's got a flat side on it. I just put it down. I'll show you that here in a minute. I prefer using this one for battle damage. I just feel like it's a little bit sharper, and it's actually pretty good for getting slash marks, as you can see there. You can also use this thing for making straight lines as well, as you can see here. And this one here is a little bit beveled. This one's flat. It just all depends on the angle that you're holding that. But, you know, you can get all kinds of different effects with it. All right, so first off, let's talk about a couple things that you don't want to do with this thing. First off, you want to make sure that you're not holding this in one spot too long because this thing will melt and it's going to throw everything off. So let's say you're doing a piece and you're just not holding it and moving it at an even pace. This is what it's going to look like, and you don't want this to happen. You see how it just dug down deep right there, and it's just kind of big. That's what you don't want to happen right there, okay? So make sure when you're moving this thing, you're moving it at a nice steady pace, and it's even like that. The other thing you want to be cautious of is when you're holding this thing, if you hold it at too steep an angle, you're going to see that this piece right here is going to hit the foam, and then that's going to ruin whatever the effect. So let's say I want this scale look over here, like this. But if I hold this thing at a bad angle, now you can see how this piece touched that. You don't want that, so just avoid that. But you can see how I was doing that scale up there. Just kind of like that. Whatever it is that you want, right? Works pretty cool, or it works pretty good. I really like it. It's a cool look. I'll probably be using that sometime if I ever do something with scales, but I really like that one. Okay, so for the battle damage here, the way that you do that is you just find your center point. We'll say we're going to go there. Okay, and then I just don't want to hit the cord on there. I just flip this thing up like that, so my point is pointing down, and then just be like that. It's whatever type of damage you're looking to get. See, pretty cool effect with that one. And then you already kind of saw the slashes up there. But this is a really good bit for getting that kind of stuff. That's pretty much it. Like I said, you know, this is just going to be just practice with it. Just see what works for you, what doesn't. There's all kinds of different things you can do with this thing, and just have some fun with it. Really, that's all this is here, is just me kind of having fun with it to see what kind of stuff I was able to do. And actually, this over here was my test piece. This was the one I did, so it looked pretty for you guys. But when you get some time, just go ahead and see what you can and can't do. All right, well, that pretty much wraps up today's video. a couple things I didn't talk about before that I wanted to just touch on real quick. A couple of those nice little straight lines you saw on a piece of foam I did with a straight edge. The straight edge I use is a piece of aluminum that I got from Lowe's, and it's real nice to kind of put it there, and then you can just run your soldering iron or wood burner right along it. This isn't going to melt, but it's going to give you a really nice straight line, so that's nice to have. The other nice thing I like to have, if I'm trying to change the tips out really fast, is just a little pair of needle nose, and that's just so I can take it out because I'm impatient sometimes. So I like to have this so I can change those tips out real fast if I need to. But as always, you guys can always check out my current projects on Instagram at BNBids. You can also check me out on Facebook at BNB Cosplay. If you guys like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comments section. Other than that, I'll catch you guys later. And until then, cheers.